Is somebody on? All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Thomas Watson, and this is Rev Up Module 8. And in Module 8, we talk about all things lending. And this morning, we have a special guest with us, Garrett Wood with Movement Mortgage. Garrett, how are you doing this morning?
Good. How are you? How's everybody?
Good, Garrett. I'm doing good.
Just lovely, just lovely. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and turn over this session to Garrett and let him share his, let's see, make a pizzazz, whatever you got for us, Garrett.
Yeah. So,
All right.
there
It's
we
all
go.
you.
Yeah. So just to introduce myself for people I haven't met before, my name is Garrett. I'm a loan officer with Movement. I've been with Movement now for about 3 years, just helping people with primary, secondary investment homes, whether it's purchasing, refinancing, and kind of everywhere in between. People have questions that, they will come to me, whether it's a tax question that I can get them in touch with the right person. And so I've been doing that for about 3 years, just helping out as many families as I can. Love what I do. And so what I'm really here to talk about is kind of Movement and what we do. So a big part of what we do is kind of a give back to the community kind of deal, just starting off. So 49% of everything that we make actually gets poured back into the community. It goes through the Movement Foundation, which if you're around Charlotte, there's 2 schools right now. They're building a third. That's charter schools for, kids to be able to come in, get a good education for free, and set them up for, the future. And so that's a big part of what we do and why we do it. From more of the lending side, I'm here to help you guys with anyone who you come out, you meet, whether it's looking for a buy side or even a list side. Have a couple tools on my side to be able to help with that. Buy sides, of course, getting these guys pre-approved for you, making sure, we're doing a deep dive for them, short-term, long-term goals. So we're setting them up for success as well, but also knowing their financial background, how they get paid, what they have saved up, to make sure that we are pre-approving them in the way that we can send them out and send them back to you guys and go out and make an offer and know that we can close a loan. I know I've had a couple meetings with, Realty One, your agents and stuff like that. And 2 things I always say is, keeping people safe with their offers, especially in this market with high due diligence, high earnest money we got to be putting down anyways. But also the reputation of you guys and myself to know that, hey, you go out, you make an offer, you give someone a great experience that they can recommend you. Saying, hey, hey, Justin's my guy. He helped me out. Like, you need to go to him to help, list your next house or buy your house. Like, that's what we want, because that's kind of the referral, cycle of, giving someone a great experience and getting the next person. If everyone just kind of keeps referring, you grow your business that way naturally and organically. And so that's the 2 biggest things that, I try to bring to you and help you in your job too. One of the things that I wanted to share, the website's actually down right now, but I have a video on it. I can send all you guys after, but it's basically helping you guys. Let's say you get a new listing and you're looking to pull some comps in the area to see what you're going to sell it for. I've got a tool we can go in, put the address. It brings up all the recent sales, it's top 10 if there's more than 10 in the area, just so that you guys can go in there, make your job a little bit easier, going to MLS, find those listings, use those for your comps. That's one thing. Another piece that we have, and I'm actually going to share this because it is up, is we have Total Expert. And so being able to invite you guys to this, you guys see that? This screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we have is you guys be as a co-marketing partner, just add you in here. Come in here, you have print flyers for everything that you could probably imagine. And so we can just search, let's go listing, infographics, manuals, down payment assistance stuff, down payment scenario flyer for a listing. A lot of good stuff that you can come in here where it's co-branded and say, hey, and I did an example with this where it was like 50-50 between the lender and the co-marketer for like 50 flyers for, a listing or a home. It would be like $1.50. You can also just take and do it as a PDF and save it and print it off yourself too. But we do offer that kind of ship it out to you as well. One big thing also in here that I like is the single property sites that you can use together. Again, did an example with this. Like this was a previous listing that was already on Canopy. So the information was already able to be found. This is actually, it's not active anymore, but it's good for an example. So I just got to change this back end. And what you can do, and I can do on my side, just say, hey, Garrett, I need some help with this, is get you a nice little preview listing once it loads that you can post to social media. You can post it to your Facebook, your Twitter, LinkedIn, anything. You can send it out to an email if you guys, once you start building your book of business and you have people who, you have on drip campaigns and, hey, like, this property just came available. You can view the details, gallery, schedule a visit, keep scrolling down, gives you kind of the list, gallery, some pictures, locations on the map, and then a way to contact you, name, email, phone. So it's also a way for you guys to post that to your social media and get new leads for you to be able to reach out to. They also have like these single arc lead capture. So like, let's say you're doing an open house. We get to the point where it's not, as soon as you list a house, you have 20 offers, but you can come in here and you can run an open house where people come in, they sign in on your laptop you have set up. It gets you their information to be able to reach out after. So it's just a couple of different ways for you guys to be able to get those names, get those numbers, get those emails, so you can constantly have someone to reach out to for your next deal. And so that's, another piece that I enjoy too, is, not just help people in the homes, but helping you guys grow. So along with that, getting the leads, get them in, get them pre-approved, get them into a house, helping you guys with listings. That's where I really, really want to help in, especially with you guys being newer, to help ramp you up as quick as possible, to help you guys, hit the ground running. So off of those two things, do you guys have any questions with those? Want to see anything? Is there anything that might be in here? Perfect. So along with that, a little bit about what we offer then here. So we have everything. I'll stop sharing my screen now. So figure out how to. There we go. So what we do have here to offer, it's basically the full lineup. We have, the conventional loans, your FHA loans, USDA, VA. Those are your four main, and they kind of break off into your little subsections. Then when you start looking at any type of down payment assistance or a bond loan, they'll usually fall under one of those four categories. The great thing about Movement is when you get into your government loans, so your FHA, USDA, and VA, minimum credit score requirements actually go down to 580 for us. And so if they're in between that 580 to 620 mark, it takes a little bit extra for them to get approved. It might be, a lower debt to income ratio, might be a little bit more of a down payment, or a little bit more extra cash reserves at the end of the day to get them in, but it gives them a chance. Once you get over that 620, you become eligible for conventional. It may not be their best option at the time still, but they do have that option then. And from there, we kind of look at different scenarios for them, run different scenarios to make sure that they're getting into the right spot. So past 620 becomes a little bit easier for them to qualify and actually get, fully approved for the home. So breaking off through that, just any questions on that? Any questions on those guidelines or those programs? Anyone have any experiences with that? So going in through that, so here at Movement 2, this whole process is kind of broken down in what we call this 671, 6 hours of the upfront underwrite. And so if it's anything now that's not a W-2 standard borrower, if they have variable income, if they're self-employed, if they own multiple businesses, we actually submit those to the underwriter upfront for an underwriter pre-approval. And so what that does for us, does two things. One, it confirms the income for them, that what we can use based on what program they are going to fit into the best. Make sure that they're already viewed by an underwriter. And so they actually go ahead and condition out the loan as if we were under contract as well. And so while you guys are shopping, we can collect those documents. And what it does, it helps us close faster on our side too. And so we already have their conditions. All we would need after that, the appraisal, title, homeowner's insurance quote, those third-party items to get the loan done. And so that's a big advantage of going through that route, is that one, you have the extra assurance that an underwriter has looked at it, but you also know that in the background that we're already working the loan before they even go under contract. You know, as long as we can get that credit, asset, and income figured out, that can be figured out at any time. After that, it's just kind of property specific when it comes to that homeowner's insurance quote and things like that. So that's the biggest thing. So once we get under that upfront underwrite is 6 hours for that. It's also once we get everything that we need for submission after contract, 6 hour, you know, that usually takes them, you know, 1 business day to have it out approved with conditions. And so from there, that's where that seven day comes in. We try to get all the loans processed in 7 days. And that's those borrower conditions. That's the credit, income, assets. And then from there, like your biggest factor on closing is going to be how long the appraisal takes, which right now is about a week and a half still. And, you know, so you have all these other factors. You might want to have your inspection done, things like all that you might want to negotiate or have fixed. And it's, again, in this market, it might not be possible to have those because you're probably, you know, you're probably putting a contingency on it, waiving it. So there's a lot of things that kind of factor into there. And then the 1 day closing, once we're clear to close, we send out the package on our side to the title company, and then 1 day to get it balanced out, and then you're ready and good to go. And so there's multiple instances where there have been, you know, those rescue deals or something that needs to get done, you know, fairly quickly. That's within those guidelines, gets done as quick as possible, closes, and, you know, we're rocking and rolling. So Movement's a purchase oriented company. And so purchases and making sure that you guys are taken care of always comes first, especially when we get, you know, towards the end of the month. It's making sure that we get families into homes, because there's a lot at stake in it. You know, you have a close date. Those buyers are getting nervous. You know, they have the moving company set up already. They have people to come out, you know, to set up their internet already. And so we try to hit that date, so that way they don't have to move dates on themselves to make this. We try to keep it stress free, so that way makes us look good, makes you guys look good as well. And then, like I said, just that circle of referrals. Anybody have any questions on that? Have an experience they want to share? I know somebody has something. Come on. You gotta wake up. It's not 9 o'clock on a Monday.
Hey, Garrett. So Tommy here. So let's just say I have a client that called me this weekend, and they're a military veteran, and they say, hey, I think I want to buy a house. I'm not sure if I'm able to, but I want to use the VA loan. I do know that. So tell me what your process is, because I know we do quite a few VA loans in our office, or VA or veteran type clients.
Yeah.
Kind of explain that process, how it works with you guys.
Yeah. And so what I do on my side is, one, I always reach out, and the first thing I do is thank them for their service. That's the biggest thing. My dad's a veteran, my grandparents are veterans. So that's kind of hits home for me doing that, is to be able to thank those guys. From there, what we're doing is it's the same process of pre-approving them with one extra step. Depending on whether they're active duty or if they are retired, you know, we are getting their DD-214 if they're retired, and making sure their certificate of eligibility is good. So we get their DD-214, we go through the VA's website. They'll come back to us and say, hey, you know, they have X amount of dollars in, you know, their entitlement. And so we use that to ensure that we can do the VA program for them. And so there's a couple extra things that go along that from a listing agent. If you're looking to buy a home, like, you're always going to have if it's a well, you have to have a water test. You always have to have a termite inspection too. Those are the two things extra that really go along with that. You know, at Movement, you know, we have our application fee for VA loans. We actually waive that as an extra thank you for them. So that's $12.95 that they save right off the bat. That sets them up.
Say that again, Garrett. You waive what?
The application fee. And so on the fee sheet, there's just an application fee that they don't pay up front. It's paid at closing. And so for veterans, it's waived. There's no $12.95 on there. Once we get back their certificate of eligibility, we also will see on there if they have a service-related disability. We'll have their funding fee waived, or if we have to charge that, but it's nothing that comes out of their pocket, that funding fee. It's basically the mortgage insurance for VA loans without actually being called mortgage insurance. And so if they have some type of disability, depending on that percentage, they could have that waived and completely taken off as well too. And so getting with them is making sure that they have the same income requirements. It's usually a little bit less stringent on your debt to income. And so they'll have that. You'll have your household income you'll have to take a look at. And so there's a lot. We have a question. Certificate of eligibility, but is there a minimum number of active duty days, for instance, if someone is in the reserves? So the reserves is a special case. So if you're in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, you've served for 2 years, you get those benefits. When it's something like the reserves, it's a 6-year minimum then. So once they've been in service for 6 years with the reserves, then that VA becomes eligible for them to, receive the benefits and use that.
Unless you've been deployed longer than 30 days, I believe it is.
Yep, active duty during a wartime.
Yep, then you are. So I actually fall into that category. So when I returned in 2010, I was eligible to use my VA loan. And a lot of veterans, they'll hear about the VA loan, but they don't really know all the ins and outs. So the information that Garrett's given us is really important, because you want to make sure, especially, I can tell you with the veteran population, if they feel like you don't know what you're talking about, or you tell them something that's wrong, you're breaking trust and they probably aren't going to come back. So this group is a little tougher to work with, but just make sure if you don't know or have an answer, just say, hey, let me get right back to you. Oh, they're good with that. So, but don't try to say something or talk about something you don't know about, especially with this group, well, with anybody, but you can always say, hey, let me get right back to you.
Yeah, I know when I first started off, just to touch on that, like that was what I was scared of that. I was worried about saying, heck, I don't know this, but let me go find out. But once you do that and you actually get someone the right answer, like they appreciate that and they respect it more, and they feel like you're more trustworthy by doing so. We all of us can't know everything about everything, but we can all know someone who does know, more specific, more niche stuff than other people do. And so, yeah, that's a big thing. So if anyone can ever go the VA route, like I would strongly recommend that. It is 100% financing, but they can put a down payment if they want to. That's completely up to them, but they have that 100% financing available. The interest rates are usually lower when it comes to what we can do for them a little extra on our side too. Whether it's, if they want to buy down the rate a little bit, helping them out with some lender credit there too, or even, taking it and knocking down their closing costs even more. And so there's a lot of stuff that we do for veterans. And the last I heard, Movement Mortgage is the only one who has the relationship with the USO, which is the largest military organization. Isn't that right, Tommy?
Yep. And if you want to volunteer with the USO, they would love to have you come get vetted and just go volunteer down at the airport like one Saturday a month or whatever. It's a really cool place that they have. They spend a lot of money, but what they do is they welcome veterans. Any veteran or military member that's traveling can go and use their quote unquote lounge with food and drink. And for any soldiers that are coming back from a deployment type scenario, they try to have a crowd there to greet them when they get off the plane. Great organization.
Anyone seen like the old pictures of where you would see some famous singer singing for the military while they're all dressed up, they're overseas like that? That's the USO, right? That's what they put on too?
Yep, they often have underwritten concerts, in war zones, and they get Hollywood types. A lot of country music stars will go and rotate through and go and hang out with the troops. So yeah, it's their biggest, I think their biggest mission is to raise morale, to keep the troops in good spirits so they can continue their mission.
Yeah, and so it's a great organization. Only mortgage companies actually partner with them. Movement's actually one of the top VA lenders too, and so I absolutely love to love to work with veterans. A bunch of that. And then another question: just agents and offers that are pre-approved, especially in multiple offer situation like most listings are today. So the biggest thing is because we have all the documents. Is that what I like to do is like you say, hey Garrett, we're putting in a pre-approval or we're putting in an offer on this home. What I do then, right off the bat is I go in and I update the file for specific property taxes. For specific, if it's a little bit less, I might adjust the homeowner's insurance. If there is a homeowners association due, I'll change that around too, to make sure that we would still qualify for that home. But once that's done, I actually call the listing agent, if you would like, to say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Listing Agent, I am representing, this borrower, you just got an offer for them. I just wanted to call and let you know, like, I already have all their documents, I already have, their bank statements, their W-2s, their pay stubs. It's already been looked at by an underwriter. Is there any questions that you have on this? I just wanted to let you know that this file has basically already been pre-approved, and all we need to do is have the contract to get this done. For them, that's reassuring to know if you have an offer that's going to be a coin flip, that if I get a phone call from someone that says, hey, like this one's good to go, like you start getting a little bit more kind of to that, hey, we're going to choose them because I know that I've gotten this call of someone who has already reviewed all the documents. Like I feel comfortable with that. And I think if you guys were a listing agent, you would probably like that too. Because when you guys get it, you're getting a blank sheet of paper that says, hey, we offer this much in a pre-approval with someone's name on it. But to be able to kind of hear about it and hear the behind the scenes of what actually went into the pre-approval, because not all pre-approvals are the same. They are vastly different. I've had experiences speaking with people who've been approved for $300,000 somewhere else. We get to talking to them and find out that for whatever reason, a lot of times it might be that they just started a business and they haven't been in business even for a full year yet. And, we can't use any of that income, and they actually didn't qualify at all. And someone else out there gave them a pre-approval letter to say, hey, here you go make an offer on a home, which puts them in a very, very tough spot. And so that's kind of the behind the scenes of what I do on my side too, to help you guys get those offers accepted.
And that's really important because your client can't do that. So, the real estate commission frowns on love letters now. So we got to be creative in how we, approach our transactions, with our creativity and our desire to win, the offer, right? So thanks, Garrett.
Yeah, no problem.
So what other questions do you guys have? I know you've been sitting back, you're listening. You probably think you have a crazy question, but it's not. Go ahead and ask it because somebody else probably wants to ask the same question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's easier for me to say it than to type it. And this is it's not really off topic, but it is a little bit. But so like as agents, can you give us a little bit of information, like for us personally going forward, like purchasing homes, especially being like a new agent? Like I own my home now. And so like if I wanted to move myself, like you just said, they just started a new business. They haven't been there a year. So can you give us a little bit of information for us personally, like if we were to purchase a new home?
Yeah. So with agents, so you guys come out, some places I've seen some strange things in how people are paid. But at the end of the year, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, you guys are 1099 employees, like you're self-employed, correct? And so what we do on our side is we would Sometimes, depending on your industry before, you can get away with 1 year at the current place, but more than likely they want to see 2 years. So we get 2 years of your tax returns as your 1099. And so that's your Schedule C. I have an income calculator on my side where I go in and I type in, your gross amount that you put in. It takes away some deductions. If you claim gas mileage or if you take the standard deduction, you don't get anything that doesn't get put back in there. But if you have, mileage on your car and appreciation and meals, like all that gets added back in there. And so those 2 years of tax returns will then be combined into one income that you get and divided by 24, because that's the months that we looked at. And that's what we use then as your monthly income. Now, if there's a decrease in that from 1 year to the other, let's say you're doing this for 5 years or 6 years, year 5 is, like this past year was just exploded for people listing homes and they made a bunch of money. And then the next year, they didn't quite make as much. And so you have that decline there. And so in that case, there's different programs that we can use on our side where we only look at 1 year's tax returns, because if they see that decline, there may be more paperwork involved. There may be, hey, wow, what was the cause of this decline? And this one would be a little bit easier because say, hey, there was a boom in home values and people selling their houses, or there was this, or there was that. So there's a bunch of different factors that go into it. And then being able to use those on our side, we either can go through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, which are the two governing bodies. Freddie Mac being able to allow only 1 year tax returns if you've been in the business for at least 5 years. And so there's different ways to kind of work around it, but 2 years is your standard for any type of self-employment. 2 years is also the standard to be able to use any type of overtime or commissions from a job as well too. And part-time as well. So if someone comes and says, hey, I worked at, place A, but I work part-time at place B, if they haven't been there for 2 years, we can't use that part-time job either. So there's a 2 years kind of like the standard for a lot of stuff. When it comes to your primary job, it doesn't apply as much, just because you can, of course, we need the 2 years for a primary to use any overtime or commission, but you can use an offer letter with future income and we can count that as income. I think I'd have to look at the guidelines to confirm, but I think it's up to 60 days post-closing for them starting the job. We just reach back out and collect pay stubs. Preferably it's better if they start before, but especially if you have someone moving, out of state or a good distance away, or even from like the coast to here, moving to Charlotte, and they're saying, hey, I don't have a job yet, but I do have a job offer. We can use that job offer. We can use that salary that they have or that hours that they're expected to get and qualify them based on that.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
Yep. Any other questions? Well, I dropped my email in the chat. If you guys don't mind emailing me, or if you can even drop your email in here, what I'll do is I'll send you guys the email with the video for the listing, and also send you guys some other stuff too that'll be beneficial, just for the first time, kind of agents coming out. And that's my email. I'll drop my phone number in here as well. And what I will do then is, if you guys have any questions or need anything from me, that's my cell phone. You can text me, you can call me. If you have anyone that you need me to speak to, you can just text me their information, let them know that I'm going to be reaching out to them. And then what I do is I just keep you updated throughout that entire process. And then once we get them pre-approved, is get them the pre-approval letter, along with the approximate cost kind of breakdown that kind of will show their cash to close to you guys. And so to take you through that full process too, so you would know what to expect. You get that they've been pre-approved. They know what they need for cash to close. They go under contract. And so we get that, submitted as quickly as possible. Once that is submitted, every Tuesday and Friday, I actually give you guys a call. I'll give you a call, whether you're the buy side agent, you're the listing agent. If you guys work together and you're going to be, one of you will be the buy side, one of you will be the list side. Every Tuesday and Friday, you get a call from me saying, hey, this is the update we have, whether it's good, bad, or no news at all. Hey, I know I just gave you an update on Tuesday. Nothing's changed. It's Friday. Have a great weekend. Want you to know what's going on until we get the clear to close, and you get those updates all the way along. And then while your borrowers or your buyers are out there shopping, those guys get a call every Wednesday just to say, how's the morale for them? Because right now it is a tough market. See what they got going on, if they have any questions still. And then Thursday, just because rates have been crazy, they've been rising, basically every single week for the past, 2 months, 3 months, it feels like. Every Thursday I go in there for all the pre-approved files. I update the interest rate for them to make sure they still qualify for that amount. I like to give a little bit of a buffer anyways, in case they find a home that might be a little bit more than what they're pre-approved for, that we still have a little bit of wiggle room. Or if anything drastic does change, like we reach out to the county, a new assessment came in, the taxes that we're reflecting online are completely different. We have that little bit of wiggle room. So those guys get updated every Thursday and make sure you guys stay safe, and that's relayed as well. So it's basically constant communication throughout the week. So you guys are in the loop, what's going on. And if your borrower calls you on something too, or if your buyer calls something on anything, you can say, hey, I have an update too, even though I'm calling them Tuesday and Friday as well, giving them the same update. So constant communication so you guys know what's going on. It's very important for everyone to have a good experience through this.
Can you explain a little bit more about the rates right now? Like, do you guys see them still kind of going up from here, or they're gonna just steady out for a while, you think?
Yeah, so what we've seen, what we've heard, I wish this program was the website would actually come up, but it's just saying it can't be reached right now. We use a site that basically monitors the 10-year treasury and mortgage-backed securities. So what that is basically what the rates are based off of. So what we have seen is, because the inflation that's happening is rates usually follow inflation. And so since inflation's been going up, this has been open up. So people have been pulling their money out of bonds and putting it more into the stock market. As interest rates go up, that's the same thing, that they're kind of following that trend. And so what you've probably heard is that there have been rate hikes through, the Fed. Those don't directly tie to mortgage interest rates, but what that is doing is it's combating inflation. And once inflation starts to come back down, interest rates will follow. What we've seen in the past, we've had multiple recessions, and during and after every recession, interest rates have fallen. And so combating inflation, along with the projected, recession that is projected to come, the first quarter, we've already had a dip. So if we have another dip this quarter, we'll be considered to be in a recession. And so what I've been advising people on my side, and it depends on how long they're looking to live in the home, it is not to buy down the rate. We're going to see them go up a little bit more. They're going to plateau, and then they're going to come back down. And so more than likely, anyone who buys a house right now within the next, 6 months, 8 months, depending on when this recession actually takes place and rates drop, they're more than likely going to be refinancing anyways. And so we're telling people to look to try to get those lowest fees, lower closing costs.
Okay.
At the end of the day, you're going to turn around and refinance. If you're spending money to buy down a rate, and then you refinance, if you haven't recouped that money, then you've actually wasted more money on saving $7 extra a month instead of just waiting it out. So that's kind of where we see rates going, is coming to a peak, plateauing, and then coming down within the next year and a half.
Okay, cool. That cleared up a lot of things for me. Thank you.
Yep. Just so someone does something different too about every 5 to 7 years with their mortgage, whether they look to sell and buy again, or they look to refinance. So there's always kind of a cycle there for you guys too, to know that eventually someday your past clients are going to do the same thing. And that's kind of a timeline. I think usually you'll probably see some turnover business, usually around year 3. 5 years the average. So 3 is kind of getting there, but you'll start seeing that then. And so another big piece that you guys can look at, this is kind of something that Movement does specific, is that we actually don't sell all of our loans. We keep them and we service them ourselves. And so we have that control over the customer service when someone calls in and says, hey, I'm having a problem, with the online website. It's not someone else who didn't do a loan, it's us. So like I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, Garrett, I'm having a problem getting into my online site to set up auto pay. I have my mortgage through Movement, so I'm able to go to my website and help them through that. But along with that as well is we have a whole team that's dedicated to watching the market, watching the rates, and that if they get to a point where they specifically qualify for a refinance that'll help them, we reach out to them and let them know that. And like we help them in that way. But not only that is we have, we're getting the credit pull triggers. So if they, let's say it is 5 or 6 years, right? And, there's a new mortgage company on the block, or there's a new real estate agent on the block, and they just happen to meet at a restaurant or whatever, and they had their credit pulled. So we get that notification, that team still reaches out, says, hey, we see the credit pull. We just want to make sure everything's okay. So, we're actually thinking about listing our house and, we're looking to get pre-approved. So what happens is they then, if it's a purchase, send it back over to me. I say, hey, I reach out to them. I can get it pre-approved. They haven't signed anything. Like, hey, I know Justin helped you out, 4 years ago. Like, let me have him reach out to you so we can all work on this together again. So it's kind of an extra layer of protection for you guys too, to have returning clients come back to you. With in 5 years could be a even more saturated field for both of us. So we do that to protect, not only us, but also protect you guys too, and being able to have that kind of funnel back into your book of business.
Okay. Sweet.
So I think from the biggest kind of an overview of myself and kind of bringing that to the table is kind of just the safety to make sure we're going out and placing offers that, we've taken the steps to make sure it can get done, the reputation for all of us, and then kind of the back end support that we can help and give, whether it's helping with the listings, helping with websites, helping with pre-approvals. We also offer, the Movement Sellers Advantage. And so you guys go out and you have someone you're getting a listing, about 50% of the time that person is going to buy a new house and need financing. And so we have the Movement Sellers Advantage, where it's a lender credit, just to be able to, if they decide to go with Movement, decide to go with me through that process, especially if they've already been pre-approved somewhere else, which they probably have, is to say, hey, like, let's take a look at the offer, let's take a look at this, and let's see what we can do to help. Because at the end of the day, we want to be able to help you guys, because that kind of brings in another, there's a ton of stuff that we could talk about today. That brings up a whole nother point of, if you are a listing agent, you start getting offers, is making sure that you have an offer from someone you know and trust. Just like that same example of a pre-approval is just a piece of paper, unless you know what's kind of goes in behind it. So if you guys have a listing, what you can do, and we've seen this on our side, and say, hey, I know you're pre-approved by, so-and-so, it could be an online lender, it could be someone you never heard of. Like, if you don't mind calling my guy, have him get you pre-approved too. We're more than happy to accept your offer kind of deal. And so what that does on my side is gives me an opportunity to speak to them, make sure that they're pre-approved the right way. So if you do accept their offer, you do know that's going to go through and that your house is going to be sold. So it's just an extra layer of security for you guys as well when you're looking to accept an offer.
Hey, Justin, I have a crazy question for you.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
when can agents contact you? How can they contact you? And are there any limits to that?
Yeah. So text call is probably the best, just because I'm not always in front of my laptop. Text me, call me. I usually pick up. Weekends are fine. I've answered calls on Sundays. So the biggest time that I'm usually unavailable, especially during the week, is usually between, I would say, 5 to 6:45. And that's basically the time that I have dinner with my family. And 6:30 is when I put my 2-year-old down to bed. 6:45 is when we put the 2-year-old down to bed. So that little bit of time during the week that get to spend with him, that's super important to me. I think everyone who has a family can kind of see that as well. But in that time, if you text me, or even if you call me and leave me a voicemail, like I'm going to get back to you because I know that you guys are working nights and weekends. You know, that's when people are viewing homes. You're taking people out who are working 9 to 5 anyways. And so just call me, just text me. I'm here for you guys at that.
Thanks, Garrett. Did I call you Justin a while ago? Sorry.
Yeah. You threw me off. I was like,
Now I got Justin on name. Hey, any questions that you have? Any final questions before we let Garrett go so he can do his thing?
Nope, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for coming in and giving Garrett your time. And Garrett, thank you for sharing your expertise and some of your business practices. Yeah, we look forward to seeing you soon. So, again, hey guys, you've given, I think, your emails for Garrett. He'll reach out to you. Garrett, if you have anything you want to send out anytime, just hit me up and let me know.
Yeah.
Or you can go direct with these guys here at any time. So appreciate you. Everything that you do for us. We can't have a real estate business without you. So thank you.
No, I thank you guys for having me. And I think it's the same way as, you guys are the lifeblood for us. And it's always a great opportunity to be able to speak to you guys. And I appreciate the time that you've given me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
I'm just
All right,
writing.
guys. We that concludes this session of Rev Up. We'll see you next week for module 10, Monday at 9 a.m. Thank you, guys.
Sounds good. See you guys. Have a good day.
See you guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.